And they're off at Goodwood Motor Racing Circuit in 1955. But this is no race. It's the Motor Show Test Day, invented by the Guild of Motoring Writers in 1948. The brilliant idea caught on, and the entire British motor industry was persuaded to make all the latest models available for circuit testing. Motor Show Test Day became a serious showcase for British industry. It was also a notorious excuse for a free burn-up for the gentlemen of the press, and we can only guess what happened in Madgwick Corner seconds after that massed start. And don't miss Colin Chapman's efficient little 1100cc Lotus Mark 9, speeding past the pits. Recovery from wartime days, when the motor industry had built aircraft and military vehicles but no private cars, had been long and painful. For years after 1945, Britain faced severe petrol rationing, and the government's instruction to industry, "export or die," became a post-war catchphrase. By 1955, the motor industry's new Myra test track at Lindley near Nuneaton was in full operation, including a banked high-speed circuit, a long-wave pitching track to test dampers, a steering pad and a water splash. The 1955 Motor Show, one of the most successful ever, heralded a comfortable future with cars for all. Later in the 50s, Prime Minister Harold Macmillan would say to Britain, "You've never had it so good." The first significant British motorway, the southern stretch of the M1, was opened in 1959, and, increasingly, women were joining the ranks of new car buyers. Life really was becoming much more relaxed. After World War II, the French Simca factory revived its pre-war models, including the exotic 8 Sport, with coachwork by Facel.
The sleek Simca fancied to win the 1500cc class. The cars come shooting into the square at Castellan like corks from a bottle.
Simca changed course in 1951, however, switching successfully to modern mass production methods.
Although in the same class, John Gott's AC Ace had 17 minutes handicap.
The AC Ace of 1953 is one of the most significant sports cars ever made.
Grant Norton's Ace was not as fast as Gott's, but Jimmy Ray was now 4th.
Based on a one-off racing car designed by John Togero, the styling imitated the contemporary Ferrari Barchetta. AC Cars bought the project, launched it as the Ace, and offered a variety of engines, including a very quick Rudd-speed-tuned Ford Zephyr. Inspired by this, Carroll Shelby set up his deal with AC to fit American Ford V8s, and thus the AC Cobra was born. After years of austerity, life was still tough in Britain in 1948, but at last, that year's Earl's Court Motor Show promised better days to come. Among a glittering array of all-new British cars, Jaguar's sensational XK120 stole the show. Its graceful, flowing style suggested speed and freedom, and the name indicated a top speed of 120 miles an hour. As ever, with a pre-tax price of just £988, the question was, how does Jaguar's William Lyons do it for the money? Even Lyons himself, whose real aim was to sell saloon cars, was surprised by the rapturous response his new sports car received.
Also present is the XK140 fixed-head coupe.
Racing and rallying were vital proving grounds for Jaguar's sports cars in the 50s, improving the breed and highlighting the need for much better brakes in high-performance cars. Meanwhile, the XK theme was updated in 1954 with the more comfortable, more powerful 140.
The manoeuvring test done on the quay by the harbour has in the past decided the ultimate winner of the Monte Carlo Rally. This year it was strictly for fun and £100 for the fastest time of the day. The XK140 Jaguars were 60 seconds better off with 59 minutes.
Disc brakes, pioneered in racing by Jaguar, solved the XK's braking problems efficiently and were a major selling point in the new XK150 of 1957, the first genuine series production car in the world to have disc brakes all round. It was also more luxurious than previous XK models.
Two TS Borgward Isabellas become involved in a classic duel.
Carl Borgward made some very strange cars in his time, but the Isabella Coupe of the mid-1950s was perhaps the best looking to emerge from his factory in Bremen. Based on the successful Isabella Saloon, the heavy coupe was more GT than sports car, but the sleek body was good for 100 miles per hour. Bold experiments led to Borgward's bankruptcy in 1961. The Isabella Coupe remains his classic.
It's a dull, cold day at Ferryfield Airport as standard BMC production models led by the MGA board a freighter bound for Montlhéry, France. Wind speed on the track, more than 25 kilometers coming in from the west and west, as Ken Wharton starts the MGA special for the first of the 5 one-hour trials. Automobile Club de France officials prepare to check the MGA's lapping times as its famous driver brings it flashing past the timekeeper's box. The progress of the gallant little car is inexorable, eating up lap after lap at a speed comfortably over 100 miles an hour. It's almost over, and Marcus Chambers waves Ken Wharton in. For a full hour, the 100 miles an hour average has been easily maintained in spite of a continuously strong wind and often driving rain.
The completely new MGA sports car represents a breakaway from traditional appearance and is the first MG open two-seater provided with a luggage boot.
MG exported huge numbers of traditional sports cars in the late 40s and early 50s, many to former US servicemen who'd been stationed in wartime England. When the much more modern-looking MG-A appeared in 1955, MG diehards were unsure, but the A's styling, performance, competitive price, and excellent handling ensured its success. The factory drove home its qualities by entering works MGAs in major events such as the Monte Carlo Rally, the Mille Miglia, and Le Mans 24 Hours. Over 100,000 were made, and 80% of them went to the United States. Peugeot's 403 of 1955 was a stalwart French family car. Modern, well-designed, extremely tough, And well priced, it became a familiar sight at home and abroad. And the cabriolet gave middle-class families a chance to show a little style.
Test follows test in quick succession, for this is virtually a motor racing meeting. And at the first hairpin, Paul Messing overcooks it with his Peugeot 403. But slow rolls in saloon cars seem to be commonplace in this event, and another Dutchman displays the spirit of press-on regardless.
Munich-based BMW tried several market sectors before settling on its true winning streak. In 1956, the sensational 507 was an impressive shot at the top end, taking on Mercedes-Benz and Jaguar in the US market. The quality of the 507 was beyond any doubt, but it was so expensive to make that BMW nearly went bust producing it. Elvis Presley was one of the few Americans rich enough to buy one. Despite pretty Italian styling, Renault's Floride of 1958 was notoriously slow. Based on the rear-engine Dauphin, the 35 brake horsepower Floride was unkindly described as a sheep in wolf's clothing. A Gordini version with 40 brake horsepower made little difference. The Big Heeley was the definitive bruiser among the popular British sports cars of the 50s. Originally powered by Austin's A90 engine and first seen on the Heeley stand at the 1952 Motor Show, BMC immediately offered Donald Heeley a contract. Seen as a real man's car, its image was boosted by impressive international rally results. For sure, it was quite a handful in works competition form. Even so, some of the best results were chalked up by Sterling's sister, Pat Moss.
Here too is the BMC competitions department. This is where the works team cars are prepared for international rallies. The toughest endurance test that any car can undergo, in the hands of the top competition drivers in Europe. Only the highest standards of workmanship will bring a rally car through to victory after thousands of miles of high-speed pounding over the worst roads in Europe. And the powerful Austin-Healey 3000, spearhead of the BMC Works team, has scored 22 wins in 3 seasons, a record unequaled by any other sports car. The team cars, already so carefully prepared back home in Abingdon, now receive a few final touches from the travelling mechanics before the rally starts. And of course the drivers must be in perfect trim. Short back and sides, please. Don Morley, last year's winner and hot favourite for this year, is once again co-driving an Austin-Healey with his brother Earl. Pat Moss, sister of the famous Sterling. No wonder he's miserable. It's a bit hard to be always beaten by an Austin-Healey, especially when it's driven by a girl. On the starting ramp, David Siegel Morris and Tony Ambrose in the number 1 Austin-Healey. Peter Riley and Derek Castle in number 2. And here are the Morley brothers in their Healey, pressing on through the Marseille traffic with the 1962 Alpine Rally ahead of them. This is the special stage on Mont Ventoux, 13 miles of mountain road to be covered as fast as possible. Pat Moss on the carousel.
Daimler surprised the world in 1959 by launching the Dart in New York. When Dodge objected to the name, it became the SP250. Interestingly styled in glass fibre, the Dart was respected, but it was a modest performer for the money, and nobody got frantically excited. A few lucky coppers got to use them as police cars. Britain's car designers were bristling with new ideas throughout the 1960s, and the Triumph Herald, with the turning circle of a London taxi, was one of many. The affluent society was in full swing, but the decade was to be marked for Britain's motor industry by one takeover after another. Standard Triumph became part of Leyland Motors in 1961. Cheeky advertising campaigns concealed the turmoil that was brewing. Popular British sports cars, the Triumphs, MGs and Austin-Healeys, were still selling well in the valuable American export market, though sales fell away later as genuine new models failed to appear. Meanwhile, down in Dagenham, Ford of Britain was steadily increasing in strength, thanks to outstandingly engineered stylish new models like the Cortina, which became Britain's top-selling car in 1967. In the small car stakes, the Mini beat Hillman's Imp, but whether Minis made any money is still hotly debated. The BMC Leyland 1100, also front-wheel drive and with hydroelastic suspension, was a top seller at first, but things began to slip away. Leyland soldiered on, perhaps not realising that the power of advertising has its limits. From 1960, the Dandy, or perhaps we should call it Le Dandy, because it's so very French, was a special-bodied, luxurious version of the famously futuristic Citroen DS. It was created by the Parisian coach builder, Henri Chaperon. Perhaps he had the wealthy end of the gigolo market in mind.
In 1961, we revealed to the world a car that was to epitomize the spirit of the 60s, the E-Type.
Jaguar did it again, this time grabbing the headlines at the Geneva show in 1961. The original E-Type Coupe was a supremely good-looking sports car with incredible performance for the money. In those times, 150 miles an hour seemed a staggering speed, and half a century on, it still looks magnificent. Although Jaguar chose to unveil the E-Type Coupe first, it was the soft-top version which stole most of the limelight. Given a public vote, the E-Type Roadster would surely be chosen as the #1 sexy car design of all time.
Highlight of the meeting was the Goodwood Trophy race for GT cars, with Ferrari and Jaguar battling for the honours. Graham Hill, Jaguar lightweight, by half distance, Hill had taken his E-Type into the lead.
Jaguar's aim with the E-Type was to capitalise on what had been learnt in racing and settle down to mass-producing road-going supercars at bargain prices. That policy, which later included V12 as well as the classic straight-six engines, continued right through to 1975, but there were also a few very successful racing E-Types, such as the famous lightweights taken to many victories by superstar drivers including world champion Graham Hill.
And so, the Goodwood Trophy goes to Graham Hill in the Jaguar. But the E-Type isn't quite big enough for Hill and his hedge.
Italy's answer to MG's affordable sports cars in the early 1960s. The Fiat 1500 Cabriolet was cleanly styled by Pininfarina and powered by a 72 brake horsepower 4-cylinder engine. A neat little car, it handled well and had a top speed of 91 miles per hour in 1962.
Often, this is how the octagon spirit makes itself felt on this otherwise humdrum planet. MGB, latest of the breed, latest example of the octagon spirit. MGB, a high-performance vehicle, America's largest selling imported sports car. Competition-proved engine turns up speed in excess of 105 miles per hour. Creature comforts too, snug roll-up windows and draft-free top. The safety of big, fade-free disc brakes. Oft-times the octagon spirit seizes pedestrians as well. Then you find yourself surrounded by ardent admirers. Get the octagon spirit. Removable hardtop or soft-top convertible. Get an MGB.
Denton was still fresh despite a hard ride in her Nova-entered MGB.
We've got so used to the familiar MGB that it's easy to forget quite what a good car it really was. More comfortable and more spacious inside than the MGA, which it replaced in 1962, the MGB also had a modern unitary body of sound construction and deceptively elegant styling. And the price was right. The sad thing was, it sold so well that British Leyland forgot to replace it. They just soldiered on, churning out the poor old B long after its sell-by date.
Paddy Hopkirk in the NGB number 39 reckons this is the only interesting spot on the circuit. The MGB 1800 of Hopkirk and Hedges has stolen one lap on the Triumph, and the three now split the Alpine.
something different, something exciting. That's what made MG the sports car America loved first. MG, still one jump ahead.
One by one, they're disappearing, taking with them a beauty and excitement all but lost in the world today. This species, though, is not an animal, but an automobile. The open roadster, to be precise. Classically beautiful. And race-bred. Save this endangered species. Buy one.
On to the start of the Molly Slip Trophy Saloon Race. A desperate affair, with minis as far as the eye can see. Now watch what happens when Christabel Carlisle and Hopkirk share the same corner.
Brilliant engineering by Alec Izigonis produced BMC's 850 Mini of 1959, the definitive Spartan people's car. Just 10 feet long, there was room for 4. It wasn't that quick though, until John Cooper came along.
A Belgian-entered Mini demonstrates one of the hazards of overtaking as it raises the snow dust. Jeff Mabb's Cooper, highest placed private entrant, and here he is on the sweeping lower hairpins of the famous Col de Bras.
At first, Izigonis wasn't too keen on Cooper's plan to turn his pure concept into a pocket rocket.
Paddy Hopkirk is on his first international drive at the wheel of a Mini.
But the Mini Cooper and the even faster Mini Cooper S, which followed it in 1963, caught on with the public, and Mini sales surged ahead even faster. When Paddy Hopkirk won the 1964 Monte Carlo Rally and won, Izigonis was already fully converted. It didn't need James Bond to inform the world that Aston Martin's DB5 of 1963 was something special, but it certainly helped. The last word in thoroughbred English sports cars, high performance and superb handling, not to mention a personal image to die for. A Cobra killer, if you could handle it. That was the amazing TVR Griffith 400 of 1964. Light, small and short. There was so much torque and power on tap from its American V8 engine that it needed expert driving to tame this beast. Driven well, it was devastatingly quick. The Flaminia was Lancia's top-of-the-range model through the 1960s. At around £3,000 in the UK, they were exclusive. The Zagato-bodied Supersport of 1964, with its aerodynamically inspired look, was then the ultimate in sporting style from this legendary Italian marque. A landmark car made in very small numbers. Toyota unveiled its 2000 GT at the 1965 Tokyo Motor Show. A genuine original featuring Toyota's own thinking, the exquisite 2000 GT was a signal to the world. Japan's motor industry had really arrived. Nicknamed the Businessman's Express, when it appeared in 1966, Jensen's Interceptor was never a sports car to rival an Aston Martin, but its 6.3-litre American Chrysler V8 engine provided mighty performance. And the hand-built, luxuriously appointed interior gave it a high-class feel. Styled in Italy, it looked almost identical to the contemporary Jensen FF, a high-performance four-wheel drive car which was years ahead of its time. The two new Jensens for 1966 both had elegant steel bodies, but the Interceptor with rear-wheel drive was the mechanically conventional model. Nearly 16 feet long, it was a big, heavy car with room for 4 people, but it could still touch 140 miles per hour. The snag was that at about 13 miles per gallon, the 73-litre fuel tank had to be filled up every couple of 100 miles, costing nearly £20 a time. Then, a week's pay for many. Taking its name rather oddly from the show My Fair Lady, Nissan's unlikely-looking Datsun Fairlady of 1967 was no joke. The cheapest little sports car of its kind, it built a solid reputation in US production sports car racing. Paul Newman raced one, and the Fairlady led to Datsun's Z-Car series, which really shook things up. With its real Ferrari V6 engine, the Fiat Dino Coupe of 1967 was a fine car which made all the right sounds, and did the 0-60 dash in under 8 seconds. An open version was the work of Pininfarina, but this coupe came from Bertoni. Front-engined Fiat Dinos shouldn't be confused with the later mid-engined Ferrari Dino. In 1957, the Lotus Seven was a poor man's racing car which could be assembled from a kit in a couple of days, avoiding purchase tax. Colin Chapman's design looked deceptively simple, but it worked so well that those poor men found they could often beat the rich guys on the track.
Well, if you think he got it wrong, take a look at the next character.
Lotus founder Chapman, who died in 1982, would have been astonished to know that his 7 is still with us today, living on as the Caterham. For more than half a century, the 7 has always been quick and incredible fun on the road and track, but it has enjoyed many forms. The 1968 Series 3 was a significant step. Made by Lotus, the specification was suggested by Graham Nern of Caterham Cars, then the sole distributor of the 7. Using the new Ford 1600 cross-flow engine and improving the equipment level gave a boost to sales. The standard engine was quick enough, but when the twin cam was fitted, the Series 3 acquired stunning performance. Caterham took over the production rights in 1973 and never looked back. Vintage style with modern running gear has proved a winning formula for Morgan. The Plus 8 of 1968 saw Rover's V8 engine squeezed into their traditional chassis. The world's oldest privately owned motor manufacturing company, founded in 1909, Morgan is still going strong, just like old times.
If you're thinking of buying a Triumph TR6 but would like to road test it, please control yourself. Don't test its fully independent suspension this way, or its very responsive handling like this, or test its large front disc brakes like this. Unless, of course, that's the way you normally drive.
Big, beefy, stylish and old-fashioned. The 1969 TR6 still had a traditional separate chassis, but its modern Lucas fuel injection gave a claimed 150 horsepower. Up to 80 miles an hour, a TR6 embarrassed expensive rivals. At higher speeds, brick-like aerodynamics were a performance killer. It's seen as the last real TR. The later, milder TR7 was indeed different.
Now, Gwen, yes? This is the Triumph TR6. It does 150 miles an hour and has a petrol injection engine.
And looking at a rev counter.
Tachometer, my dear.
Excuse me, but the Triumph 1500 has an 8-light warning system.
And such deep, perforated seats. Ventilator, Gwen.
That's nice.
The seats are perforated in the 1500, and they can adjust to 81 different positions.
That's sensible size of boot.
But the Triumph 1500 has a 13 cubic foot boot.
We'll take the TR6.
The TR6?
It's not for us.
It's for our little nephew.
Oh, your nephew.
That's him out there.
And now we can talk about a trade-in.
We are your Triumph dealer. We believe in selling individual cars to individuals.
Britain's car makers had a tough time in the early 70s, and British Leyland's compromised Austin Allegro was not the answer for those times. Offered in the usual range of dull colours, the poor old Allegro was soon nicknamed the Flying Pig. Ford surged ahead with cars that did meet the mood of the times. Escorts, Capris and Cortinas were regularly updated, but even Ford was slow to adopt the hatchback idea. Among Leyland's other new models, the rear-wheel drive Morris Marina was based on 1948 Minor thinking. It might have been just about all right had it appeared in 1961, but a decade on from those distant days, it was no rival to the latest Ford Cortina, with its Coke bottle styling. Leyland was serious about making money, but mistakes were made. The Italian styling houses, which had served British car makers so well in the 60s, were dropped. The engineers became less valued than the accountants and salesmen. Leyland's wedge-shaped TR7 sports car, not widely liked, was hurt by build quality problems. There were sparks of genius, like the Rover SD1, and Jaguar continued to make attractive cars, as did Britain's smaller specialist car makers. But BL's sad fate was sealed long before the 70s were out. A great British concept, the Triumph Stag, introduced in 1970, combined grand touring and sports car ideas. An occasional four-seater with a removable hardtop and a concealed soft top.
The car is driven over a special test course, and every detail of its performance and handling is written into the report.
It was unfortunately marred by minor technical faults, all of which have since been sorted out by enterprising specialists.
This is quality control with a vengeance.
Reliability issues did hurt its reputation and the sales figures in its day.
I'm home, Sugar Plum!
Quick, the window!
Darling.
Sir? I want a test drive in a quick car.
Of course, sir. Perhaps the high-performance TR6.
Yeah, smash it.
Or maybe the Triumph Spitfire.
Anything.
Perhaps, in your case, a closed car. The Triumph 1500 TC.
Well, let's go.
You'll find that twin calves make the 1500 a startling performer. You notice the elegant walnut fascia? Cigar lighter, of course. Full flow ventilation keeps you comfortable under all conditions. Now that model, sir, is the Triumph Stag. Very powerful. Tremendous punch. Ah, you've discovered the reclining seat. The gentleman in the Stag seems to know you, sir. A friend, perhaps?
Well, he was.
Perhaps you'd like to take the wheel yourself and get the feel of the car.
No, just a job. I'll take it. Give you a ring tomorrow.
Any preference for colour, sir?
One of the big Datsuns was in the hands of former European champion and RAC winner, Renault Ultimate.
Datsun shook the sports car world in 1969 with the new 240Z, a sort of modern big Healy.
And another British crew going well at this stage were Paul and Wood in their Datsun.
Brilliantly styled for the worldwide market, the Tough Z had a big, gutsy engine up front. A great sports coupe at the right price. They soon sold 1 million of them.
Bernard Darniche and the blue Lancia Stratos, who, although off the pace at first, began an amazing charge, proving fastest on every stage towards the finish.
Pieruccio Gobbato left Ferrari in 1967 to take over Lancia and immediately planned a sensational new car, an utterly amazing new car. Working with Bertoni, the Lancia Stratos HF was born.
European Championship contender Tony Carello in the works Lancia Stratos.
Darnish's Stratos was bravely driven. The Lancia was a private entry, and Darnish was no Acropolis expert. Darnish was trying so hard that he nudged a bank with the Stratos, but the flapping front panel didn't slow him down at all. Everyone was trying hard. They had to, for the road schedule was impossibly tight.
A mid-engined, wedge-shaped projectile designed from scratch to win top international rallies.
It was the Lancia Stratos of Tony Fassina that managed to snatch victory from the Fiat team.
Winning the World Rally Championship in 1974, 75 and 76, the diabolically quick Stratos changed the face of rallying forever. Like the 356 which went before it, Porsche's rear-engine 911 changed the way people defined a sports car. Since it went on sale in 1964 in modest 2-litre form, the 911's special qualities have made it a legendary success for close on half a century. Without ever losing its integrity, the 911 has been modernised again and again under the skin. Since the 70s, there has been a choice between turbocharged and normally aspirated 911s. Since the early 90s, four-wheel drive has also been an option. The 911 had been around for nearly a decade when the 2.4 911S appeared in 1971. Top speed was a remarkable 145 miles per hour, and, unlike other supercars of those times, it could keep that up, flat out, all day long. Porsche engines have grown bigger and more powerful over the decades. 911s are faster than ever now, but they use less fuel and produce lower emissions. Porsche's 911 is one of the greatest cars of all time. One of the Ford Motor Company's many great success stories in Europe, the Capri was advertised famously as the car you always promised yourself. For hundreds of thousands of drivers in 1969, that was simply the truth. In the first 4 years, 1 million new Capris were sold. Stylish coupe looks were combined with a wide variety of engines and fittings. The image and the performance matched the mood of the day, and the Capri could be used for anything from economical, modest touring to winning ferociously fast European touring car championship races.
Well, frankly, I wouldn't mind a bit of life like that. How about you? But of course, in the real world, things just can't be as glamorous as that. We can't all be fashion photographers or racing drivers. But what the new Capri does is capture the excitement of that style of life and match it to the everyday needs of everyday Europeans. With new Capri, the buyer will find that his needs are even better catered for. More importantly, he'll find that the Capri now looks even more sporty, even more clean cut, even more special.
An established winner, the Capri was given a fresh start in 1974 with the sleekly revised Mark II. Ford's popular Coupe was given a hatchback as well as a more modern look, plus more passenger space inside. Factories in Britain, Germany and Belgium worked hard to keep pace with demand at first. When sales declined in the late 70s, facelifted versions met with mixed success. But from 1981, the high-performance, fuel-injected 2.8-litre V6 revived the cult status of the Capri among enthusiastic private buyers. When Capri production ended in 1986, a total of nearly 1.9 million had been made.
The new Ford Capri, the difference between driving and just motoring. Performance as sporting as you like. This 3-litre gear does 0 to 60 in 9.5 seconds and 119 miles per hour. While the 1300 gives you good fuel economy. The well-proven suspension layout, long wheelbase and wide track gives safe, predictable handling. Space? If you don't want to carry 4 people, fold the back seats down and you get a massive 22 cubic feet of it. The new Capri gives you a lot more car than you expect. Performance, versatility, space, and for £2,848 for the 1300, it'll probably cost you less than you think.